Hey everyone, Leo with the Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our Thanksgiving centerpiece. Now the centerpiece is comprised of a pilgrim's hat, and we're going to adorn it with a variety of floral elements around the actual top of the hat as well as the brim. So I just kind of laid this out here, but what we're going to do first is we're going to start off by taking these panels and gluing them to the main structure of our hat. Okay, and you can see I've already pre-folded everything. You want to do the same. And I've already glued two of them on. So I'm just going to continue here with the remaining panels here. Okay, and you'll notice that on this piece here, the main structure, there are a series of cutouts at the top and the bottom, and that is to help you with the placement of these panels. Okay, so use those to your advantage, and this thing should pretty much butt up to the panels there. You have them. I'm sorry, it should butt up to the little identifiers there up at the top. Okay. Now these guys down here are a general guideline for where this little band is going to go. We're going to construct that, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that because you'll notice that mine is in pieces and yours may not be, and I'll explain why. But let's go ahead and get the rest of these panels in place. And I've also, and the reason that we have these panels, I guess you could omit them. For one, it's going to make this more sturdy. And two, you can take these pieces and put them through an embossing machine so that we have some interesting detail and texture on the actual hat instead of it just being plain black. Okay, now we also have, you'll notice that on one of these, you have little guides up here, but you don't have any guides down here. And this is where you want to put this piece. Okay, so let's just get that piece in place. It's going to be in the center on one of these sections here. There's two sections that make up the main structure of our hat. You'll notice that only the middle of one of these is missing that piece. Actually, you know what? I think actually it's missing on both sides. So either one you put it on is fine. I did not realize that. Okay, so we'll get that in place. Now we're working with a lot of black pieces here, and our glue is white. Even though it dries kind of clear, it does leave a little bit of a sheen, or like a glossy, just kind of like a glossy looking remnant. Okay, so try not to get any glue seeping out from the side. Okay, and that looks good there. We'll pop that into place, just like that. Okay, so there is that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to join these two sections together. Yeah, there's actually quite a few little tidbits about this piece, so definitely pay attention so that you can get it all right, because we have given you the option to close the top of this. Now we're actually going to put a little Luminera candle inside of this, but if you don't want the top to be open, you can actually close it up. Okay, so I've got glue on this tab, and I'm going to take it and connect it to the other piece. Make sure you get it nice and lined up at the top and bottom. Okay, then you can actually take it and fold it at that seam. These tabs here should be sitting right on top of each other, nice and flush, and that's a good indicator that you have it lined up perfectly. Okay, so let's press that down into place. Okay, so now that's joined. We got one solid piece, and now we're going to close it up with this tab here. Okay, so let's get our glue on this tab. And I'm going to spread that glue out to the very edge of the tab so everything looks nice and crisp and clean. And you can actually, if you want, you can lay that down flat, grab the other side, and just place that right into place. It should pretty much find where it needs to be. I'm going to take and fold it over onto that seam now, just like we did before. And just make sure that it is nice and lined up there. Again, these tabs should be flush right on top of each other. That's a good indicator that you've got it lined up perfectly. Okay, just keep pressing down on this seam here where we've got the two sections joining together. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, so as I mentioned, these tabs here, you can use them. There's an extras in your download. It's this piece here, and that is the top. If you want to close it up, now would be the time. I'm actually not. I'm going to leave it open. So what you would do, I'm not going to do it because mine's going to be open, but you'd put glue here, take and spread that glue out to the very edge, and then connect it to one of the sides of this piece, and just hold it until it's set. Okay, and then you can go around, do the same thing with the rest of the tabs, and when this will be attached, so you can just take this, bring it down, and line it up with the side opposite of the side that's already hinged, and get the rest of the sides in place. You may need to kind of nudge the walls a little bit to make it fit perfectly, but again, that's optional. Now, if you are not closing up the top, what I'm going to do here is just put a little bit of glue on the underside of this tab, just very gently, not a lot, and just press that down to the inside and hide it away. Okay, because like I said, we're putting a candle in ours, so I want to just close this up and make it nice and flat in there. I don't want these tabs sticking out. So a little bit of glue, push it down and press it against the inside of our little hat. And that will look nice. Okay, last one. And we're going to work on the brim of the hat here in just a moment. Got a few layers for that. It's very simple though. Put that off to the side for a second. Let's grab the brim. And this piece here, the smaller of the three, put this off to the side for a minute. And all we're going to do right now is take our pattern piece and glue it to this piece here. This is just to kind of reinforce this and make it a little bit stronger. Okay, and you definitely want to make sure that you have this lined up correctly, because obviously we have this pattern here. If you're off a little bit, it's going to cause some problems because this won't go over the actual hat. Okay, so we need to make sure that we glue this down correctly and precisely. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually apply my glue to this piece here. I'm going to leave this upside down on my table, and let's get our glue onto this section here. Got a lot of surface area to work with here. The most important thing is just making sure that you're getting glue out to the extremities here, the outer edge, as well as the inner edge. We want that to sit nice and flush and flat. I would love to put more glue on here and then spread this out with my finger, but I'm afraid that there's not enough time to do that because it's such a large piece. I feel like the glue would start to dry out. So I'm just going to go and do it like this. Okay, so it's upside down right now. I'm just making sure that I have this lined up correctly. I'm going to flip it over and then just kind of use my fingers to feel the outer edge here. Okay, and it looks good. So I'll use my brayer to really get that glue onto the other sheet so that these two just kind of join together to form one. There we go. Okay, and then we can take and peel these back a little bit. Again, this guy is going on later once we actually have this connected. So speaking of which, we're going to go ahead and connect this thing. So we're just going to slide this over on top of this section here. Okay, and I'm going to actually start with this piece here. Let's put a little bit of glue right here. I wouldn't go too far down because you don't want it seeping out onto this surface. Okay, I'm going to pop this on here, and I'm going to take that piece and push it up against the inside of my hat. Okay, here we go. And you can kind of use the entire side of your hand to help apply that pressure there. Okay, so once we have the first piece in, we need to take, and you know, I actually have this cool light here. Since we're working with dark stuff, I'll put this over here so that you guys can actually see what I'm doing a little bit better. Let me find the optimal angle for this so that, okay. Oh, that's really bright. Okay, so right now, this side is hinged right here. Okay, you can actually see it right there. The tab is right here, okay? What we're gonna do is we're gonna put glue on the tab opposite of the side that is already hinged. Okay, we'll put this back on top. And hopefully, let me see if you can see that glue in there. Yep, there it is. I'm gonna take that and just do the same exact thing. I'm gonna push that up against the inside of the hat. Now also, as I'm doing that, I'm actually pushing down right here just to make sure that it is actually flush. Okay, so do the same thing there. Use the side of your hand to give you some leverage so that you can kind of press that tab up against the side of the hat. Okay, so that worked out really nice. Okay, so we have 4 tabs left, and we're just gonna do the same thing. This should be big enough to where you can just take and apply a little bit of glue. You can see that glue there. And I'm gonna do the same thing, just take and push it up against the inside of the hat here, just like that. And again, kind of use the side of your palm, side of your hand there to help you get that in place. Now I'm noticing that this tab here, oh, I didn't even put glue on that tab, never mind. So we have a few left here. Let me make sure this is all sitting nice and flat for me. Okay, I'm gonna go over here to this tab. Really helps to see if you have a cool little light. I actually got this light at Joann's. I like it because I can, when I'm inking, I don't have to turn my studio lights on because for one, they're really hot and they're kind of overkill. And electricity ain't cheap. Okay. So I've got one more here. Let's throw some glue on that and push that up against the inside wall of our hat. There we go. And I've got one more here. I thought I had glue on that one, but maybe not. Okay, and just pushing that up against the inside wall as well. So that's that. Okay, and now you can see how nice that is. Let me get this out of here. All right, so now we're gonna take this piece and we're gonna glue that down just like so. Okay, now what I would suggest doing is taking, and I'm gonna focus my glue here around, again, the perimeter. And I don't wanna put too much glue on the inside because I don't want to blemish the side of the hat. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of keep it here and it should sit nice and flat for us. Okay, so just find the correct angle and just drop it right into place. Press that down and work the outer edge. Just make sure that is nice and flush and flat, of course. There we go. Okay, so that's really it for the hat. It's very simple. The candle's gonna go right inside there. Now, let's put together our little band here. Now, one thing to keep in mind, now mine, as you can see, is actually separated. And the reason we did that, and you have the option to use this version in your extras folders because we had this plaid pattern, and typically the regular version, that is the non-extras one, would come out kind of each section starts to kind of curve up. So it would be hard to maintain the vertical flow of the plaid stripes. So we separated them. And if you are using this version because your pattern requires that you do, then you're going to assemble this piece. Okay, I believe the other piece is separated into 2 sections. So this process is essentially the same for the other version that you guys may have. Okay, so I think yours is 2 sections, and maybe it's just 1 section, but I'm pretty sure it's 2. But either way, if it's 1 section, you don't have to do anything. If it's 2 sections, you just have to connect the 2 sections, and I'll show you what that would possibly look like here in a second. Okay, so I'm just gonna take glue and put them on these little tabs here, and I'm gonna glue this together, just right at the little score mark area there. Okay, You can kind of fold it on itself as well to press down on that seam. Perfect. And at some point, it doesn't really matter when, you want to put your little buckle part on. So I'm going to do that now. Doesn't make a difference. Okay. Let's get that in place. And then literally we're going to take this thing and just kind of slide it over onto our hat. Okay, looking good so far. Next one here, throw some glue on this tab. And I'm just going to dab it and spread it out to the very edge. And we'll connect that. And once you connect it, you can literally take it and fold it on itself. And it should, the angle here, should be flush with the other one that we just connected it to, especially this section here. Okay, obviously it can't be flush with the belt buckle portion. All right, so that looks good. And I've got one more here. Spread that glue out. And then we're going to take and glue this thing down to the hat. I'll show you how that works in a second. Okay. All right, so now obviously this side of the hat here, where we've got this little cutout, that's the side that this is going to go on. Okay, and this is actually going to get glued like kind of like a little puzzle piece. Okay, it should fit right in there. All right, so let's start off by applying our glue to this buckle portion here. Okay, and then we can take it out up to where that tab overlaps and then up to this very edge, just before the edge. Okay, then we're going to take this and pop that right on there. I'm kind of using the surface of the brim as my guide. Okay, and I'm just going to get that glued right into place and then just kind of wrap this around a little bit. Just make sure that you have it at the right spot. Okay, that looks good. And that's wrapping around nicely on all the sides. So we're in good shape here. Okay, I'm going to start off now. And we got to find the side that has the little tab. This side will not have the tab. Okay, we're going to start on this side first, the side that has the tab. So next thing here, we can take this section here and just kind of peel it back a little bit and begin to apply our glue right on that section there up to where it folds. Okay, and then take it, bring it over and lay it down. You can see those little markers there. You want the top of this little band to be even with the marker. You want to butt it up to the marker basically. That little horizontal line right there. Okay, so that's that. Now we'll take this and fold it back again at the fold there and throw your glue on the next section. And then we'll also finish it up by putting a little bit of glue on that tab. That tab is going to cross over onto the next section. Okay, so fold that over, keep it lined up with that little marker, and press that down into place. And if it helps, you can kind of push from the inside to give yourself a little more leverage. And then don't forget to press that tab down as well. Okay. All right, so we've got 3 sections complete here. That looks great. And we're going to take and glue this section into place now. So let's peel this back. And we're going to start here with this section up to the fold. Okay, and again, use those little markers as your guide for placement. Just like that, and just press that down into place. Okay. And just keep holding until we know that it's set completely, or for the most part. And that just leaves 2 more little sections, which we can peel back, apply our glue to. It's actually pretty cool just by itself. It looks very sharp, especially with that embossing. So definitely, if you have some cool embossing folders, maybe with a little swirly pattern or element, use it. It'll look great. And if you don't have an embossing machine, maybe it's time to get one because they really add a lot to the end result. Okay. And there we go, last piece. Now with this one, you want to make sure you get a little bit of glue right out to the very edge. And with this one, you just want to line it up with the tab from the other side there. Okay, and just press that into place. Wonderful. So the hat is just about complete here. I've got a little buckle here, the gold version, or the gold portion of it. We're gonna actually pop dot this. So we'll flip it over, and I've got some great little black foam squares. Actually, I wouldn't use Zots because they tend to move around. With these foam squares, they're perfect. A great size too. We'll put one in each corner and kind of give it the push test. Now, since this is a gold foil, it'll probably won't really warp too much, but you know what? I can just add. I can do one in between too. It'll just really stand up to the test of time if we reinforce each of these little sections. Okay, so peel the backing off, and at this point, we're gonna start working on the floral element, which is pretty simple. We also have a little diagram to help you with the placement of everything. Okay. And then, yeah, it's a cool little bundle so far. I still have to put together these little wine wrappers that feature some pilgrims. Okay, so that's gonna go right on top, right in the center there. You can obviously see where it needs to go. And you can see how cool that looks from this angle here. All right, so the hat is done. It is now time to move on to the floral elements. And I've kind of laid them out in order, and you'll notice in your extras folder, you too will find a little sheet like this that you can print out. And that is just to help you with the placement of everything. Now, technically, if you just make sure that the Roman numerals on here are just facing up and down and they're not tilted left or right at all, you will get it to work fine. But again, it's up to you. All right, so next we're gonna grab this piece. I'm not gonna do any sort of training with the gold foil piece. I'm gonna leave that as is, but for the smaller cardstock pieces, now if this is cardstock, your version, you can take and just kind of take these petals and curl them any which way. I'm taking them and I'm pinching them between my finger and this dowel, and then either curling it towards me or away from me. Okay, and it just kind of makes it more interesting. And I'm not going to train this any other way. I'm just going to kind of leave it. I also did ink. Sorry, I got to go back. I'm not going to train the stem, is what I should have said. Anyway, so let's put some glue on the back of this. Now I'm gluing paper to gold foil, so that might take a little bit longer to dry. But again, just pop it right on top of that little circle on the bottom, and then just adjust it a little bit so that it matches the profile there on the little diagram that we've included. Okay, so next we're going to take and that's Roman numeral 2. We're going with Roman numeral 3. This is our little oak leaf. Now you may not see it on camera here, but we do have little score marks there in the center of this guy. So take and just kind of start bending it in the center and fold it. And then once you've got it folded a little bit, go ahead and fold it even more. You can start to kind of pinch it. And we just want to pinch this out to the very tip, like that. And then you can really give it a good pinch and spread it out a bit. I'm going to take and these little tips of the leaves here, I'm going to take and I'm going to curl them back, like that. I'm going to leave the top as is. I'll take these and curl them back as well. It really just kind of brings it to life. Okay, there we go. And take and put some glue on the back of this guy. And you can see where the oak leaf goes right here. And again, you'll notice if you, where is it? There it is. If you just keep the orientation of the Roman numerals straight up and down, that it will fit perfectly. Okay, so next we're going to find piece number 4. And piece number 4 is just, it's just 4 lines in the shape of a square, like that, okay? And piece number 4 is going to go right here. Now you'll notice also that we do have a little score mark down the center of our leaf here. And you want to do the same thing we did with the oak leaf. Just take and fold and pinch to the very tip. And then you can take, I'm going to take a thicker dowel, and I'm going to just take and train each of the sides like that. And that kind of gives it this shape. I don't know if you can see that from the top, looking top down like that. There, that looks good. So it's not so flat, okay? So let's get our glue on the back of this piece here. And this guy is going right here using our little diagram. You don't have to use this. I'm just showing you that it's there. I think you can just do this yourself without it, but it is available for you. Okay, next is piece number 5. Piece number 5 has the 4 lines in a square with a Roman numeral 1 to the right of it. We have this numbering system in the FAQ section of our website under Dreaming Tree numbering system, but basically it just looks like a square with a 1 next to it. Okay, again with this one, we do have little score marks, so take and pinch the center, and then I'm going to take my dowel and curl the sides back to give it that kind of W shape, sort of. Okay, you can see that like that. And we'll give that another little pinch. And we'll put some glue on the back of this guy and get him into place. You can see using the template exactly where it needs to go. And then you just print that out on your printer. Even if it comes out a little bit too big or too small, it still will get you in the ballpark. So it's up to you if you want to use it. Okay, so mine's off, obviously. And I mean, if you're off a tiny bit, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, that looks good actually, that works. Okay, so on to piece number 6, which is our maple tree or maple leaf. Okay, and it's got the little box with the 4 marks with 2 Roman numerals next to it. Okay, so I'm going to take and pinch it in the center, and then I'm going to use a thicker dowel to take the the ends, the left and the right end, or sides of our leaf, and just kind of curl them under to give it this beautiful dimensional look. Okay, and that's going to go right there, obviously, based on our diagram. So let's get that glued into place. Yeah, like I said, as long as you're in the ballpark, it's going to look great. Okay, so that's what we have so far. And that just leaves this little flower here. Okay, it's 2 layers, and then we've got 2 little center stamen layers and a little cap. Okay, now with this one, what we're going to do is we're going to fold them up first. Just kind of fold them towards the center. It's okay if you crease them, it's not a problem. Okay, and then we're going to take our dowel and we're going to actually just kind of curl it backwards. I have this flipped upside down now, and I'm curling it so the petals angle that in that direction. Okay, so I'm just taking my finger in the dowel at the very base of each petal, and then I'm kind of bending it towards me at about almost 45 degrees and just running the dowel through it. Okay, just really quick. It's a very muscle memory sort of thing once you get it. Okay, and we can kind of fold these back in a little bit. Just leave that there for now. And we'll do the same thing with the next one. Just kind of fold it in so that you crease it. And then we'll use our dowel to train it, flip it over. And again, pinch it between your finger and the dowel, lift it up about 45 degrees, and then just run the dowel through. I'll do it this way so you can see. And then you just get on a roll. You can do this all day long. Probably not even watch. Your fingers can kind of feel it. Okay, so let's throw a little bit of glue here in the center of this flower. And we'll take this guy and press that down into the center. You want to offset the top layer here so that the petals are not sitting right on top of each other. You want to fill that out as much as possible. Okay, and then we're going to take these pieces here, and we're just going to take and kind of fold the little petals up towards us. And it's okay if they get creased, that's the idea. Okay, now I did ink this as well. I think it turned out really nice. With this darker color here, I used purple for my ink, and on this I used it was almost a tan, or actually it was a dark red. Okay, so we're gonna pop that right there. I'm gonna do the same thing with this layer here. So just go ahead and take and fold those up. Okay, you can kind of twirl it between your fingers now. And we'll throw a little bit of glue on the bottom. And again, I want to offset this so that we see as many of those beautiful petals as possible. And then press that down. Okay, and then I have a little silver cap to go in the center of that. Just throw our glue, I think that's what it's for, yep. Silly Leo, I knew that. And that's going right in there. Get that nice and centered, press down. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take and pull these petals up towards me a little bit to make it more full, because right now they're kind of squished on top of each other. Now, to add this and connect this to the previous floral pieces here, I'm actually going to use a foam square for that to give it some additional dimension. And you know what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to flip this over and maybe just put 2 of them on here. No one's going to see it back here. And I don't want to dig through my desk to find my bigger ones right now. So this will have to do. And I'm sure it'll do the job just fine. Okay. So again, you don't really need to worry about exactly rotating this, obviously, because it's symmetrical. So there's our beautiful floral piece. Okay, so first thing we're going to do before we apply this floral element is take these guys here, and what we're going to do is I'm just going to take the thickest dowel I have, and I'm just going to try to curl the very tip of this. Okay, I'm just going to curl it around, and that's kind of how I want it to begin, but I also want to take the very tip of this and give that an extra curl, kind of like that. Okay, get out of here, fly. Okay, so that's kind of how I want it to look. And I can actually, if I take my thinner dowel, I can make that a little more pronounced there, right at the very tip, like that. Okay, so just kind of want to make them look like that. We'll do that with all of these. And they're various lengths. Okay, so I'm actually going to start with this dowel here, this 1/4 inch dowel, and just kind of fold it, or curl it, I should say, like so. And then we'll just take the rest of this and just kind of curl it like that, and just give that one more curl right at the tip. So roughly like that. They may look a little bit different here and there, but I'm going to take and curl the whole thing kind of from the middle, and then also just the very tip. You can kind of maybe go around once or twice with this, probably twice, and then let it go. And then that's what we end up with, something like that. Okay, do that a few more times, because those are going to get glued on first. And now again, this element here, it's going to take up the entire section of this side. So it doesn't really matter. What we're going to do is we're going to glue these to the side of the hat here, like so. Okay, and we can start off with maybe, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to start off with a small one and just get that glued to the side. I'm going to bring this up. It's going to actually get glued slightly above the brim, or sorry, around the band of the brim. So actually, if you just kind of glue it to where it's touching the very top of the band, like that, you just press that into place, and then you can always kind of peel it back towards you later on. We'll do the same thing to the remaining pieces here. The floral element is going to kind of help keep this upright. Okay. There we go. So we'll do kind of 3 of them right there. Maybe keep them pretty close together, and then we'll scoot over a little bit and do 2 more. Okay, so I've got my glue on the pretty much the very base of this. I'm putting this one right next to it. Okay, and then we can always curl them this way and that way, however we want to do it. Okay, and the next one here, bring this over to about here. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'll show you here in a second what that looks like. Okay, and then we'll do the last one. we can always take and once everything's in place, just kind of curl these a little bit more to give them whatever look we're looking for. Okay, so that's fine. Now this piece here, you can either use a foam square to adhere it. I would glue it down or hot glue it if that's what you want to do. Okay, and now this is going to go right here. The maple leaf is going to actually be touching the brim of the hat. Okay, and I want this red flower to kind of cross over onto that side just a tiny bit. Okay, just like that. And then we can take these guys and just kind of move them around a little bit so they're just kind of being all wispy and doing random things here. Move that out of the way. Now I did also put a little tiny foam square on this piece here so I could push that up against the hat so it's not so wobbly. Okay, and with these I'm going to end up just kind of moving them out so that they're going a little bit to the left here. Maybe this one's going out to the center, and then these guys, this guy's going out this way. Just kind of spread them out, you know, give them some room to breathe a little bit. Okay. All right, so now these additional flowers here, what I've done behind the scenes here is just took each of the petals, placed it between my finger and the dowel, and just kind of curled it towards me a little bit, just to give it a little bit of a bump. Okay, just to give it a little bit of a curve. There we go. And I repeated that with all of the flowers. Okay, and what we're going to do is just kind of go through this systematically, starting at the front. This is where the buckle is. And we're going to take and just put like 2 little petals here. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I've got my hot glue out right now because I may want to kind of wedge these into the very corner where the brim meets the top of the hat. And I think hot glue is going to get the job done a lot faster with a lot more accuracy. As much as I don't like using hot glue, this time around I am going to use it. Okay, so I'm going to put this one here. And the idea here is to kind of create dimension. You don't want all these flowers just to be sitting flat. So as much dimension as you can give them. Now for right next to the buckle, I'm just adding 2 of these small flowers. Okay, so doing a little bit of hot glue. And this one is going to go right about here. They can overlap a little bit, that's fine. Just like that. And we'll rotate it to the left. And we're going to start with a smaller flower. And that's going to go right about here. And then we'll use one of the larger ones in front of it. This is the first large one that we're going to use in our little arrangement here. Okay, and I'm trying my best not to get those little wispy things all over the place. So 2 of those petals are kind of flat on the brim. 2 of them, or 3 of them, are kind of raised up. Now with this one here, I'm going to take and actually fold 2 of those petals up. They're going to be up against the side of the hat, with the rest of them just kind of sitting on the brim. And that's going to go right up to almost the corner. Whoops. Like that. Okay. This is your project here. You can do whatever you want with all this stuff. Now, I have some gold pearls that I'm going to be putting in the centers of these flowers just to jazz them up even more. Okay, so moving over to the next corner here, I'm going to do 2 of the smaller flowers and 1 of the larger flower. Okay, get out of there, wispy. And this guy's going to go right about here. Maybe push him in a little bit. Okay, about there. I'll take the next one here and put that one next to him. Maybe a little bit further away from the current one. And maybe slightly overlapping. I don't want to create too much space. I want to make it feel like there's little bunches of these pretty little flowers all over the place. Okay, now this one here, maybe I'll just have 1 of the petals sticking up against the hat and the rest of them resting on the brim. And that one's going to go right about here. That works. Okay, give that a rotation. And let me see, am I missing anything here? No, I think we're good. Okay, so rotating it one more. Actually, we're gonna go right here now. And let me see. Yeah. That is gonna go, yeah, we're going right here in this area here. I'm gonna start off with a small one. And we're gonna add that one. Whoops. I really hate hot glue, it's okay though. Okay, that one's gonna go right here for now. And where's my other glue stick? There it is. Get that ready and primed. Okay, we'll grab another small one here and get that in place. That's going to go right about here. We're leaving this little area right here for our special larger flower. It's going to go right about here. Okay, but we do need one more in this area here. And then, like I said, I'm going to finish off the centers, find some rhinestones or some pearls, whatever you want to do to really finish this piece off with as far as the flowers go. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my large flower. I'm going to have this one kind of sticking up a little bit. Those are, we got all kinds of bugs getting ready for winter here. Zooming around, you guys have probably heard, crickets in here. All kinds of nature going on here. Okay, and then just below the maple leaf here, we'll do 2 of the small ones and then finish it off with the last large one. We'll pop that right about there. These flies are trying to eat me alive. And I'll put the large one down now. I figured I'd just take you through this so there's no questions about it. But again, you don't necessarily have to put them down like I am right now. I mean, it's up to you. You can get super creative with this and lay them down however you see fit, whatever floats your boat. But this piece is actually coming out way nicer than I thought it would, which I think is pretty much true of everything we do. I'm always pleasantly surprised when I see the end result. This fly's going loco. Okay, so that's it. That is it, actually. That finishes this up. Like I said, I'm going to take and put some gold pearls on all these flowers here for their centers. And if you're using gold pearls, mine are the loose kind, which means that, and even if you have gold pearls with an adhesive backing already on them, which I mean, yeah, I'm sure they exist, but even if they do have a sticky backing, I would still recommend just putting a drop of glue and using that to make sure that these don't go anywhere at all. This will make it more permanent, where sometimes even if you get some high humidity in your area, you'll notice that some of these things, they don't hold up. Or if it's too dry, that adhesive on there really dries out and you end up with things falling off your project. Now in some cases here with these pearls, I need to use some extra glue. And even if that happens, don't even worry about it, because it will dry clear. It's going to have a little sheen on it, but with the fact that these are gold pearls and they're kind of reflective anyway, it'll kind of fit right in. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Now that one is, I don't like that. That's looking like a disaster. I would just pick that up, remove it, and then start with a fresh one. Maybe I'll put a larger pearl on there to clean up my mess that I made. And you can also take and wipe some of that glue off since it's spread everywhere. But yeah, mistakes happen, it's okay. They're definitely gonna happen. If you have a pick-me-up tool, that would be ideal right now if you're trying to do this. I'm just using some tweezers here. They're like reverse tweezers, I guess. Anyway, you get the idea here. I'll just finish this off camera so that you don't have to sit here and watch me put pearls on each of these flowers. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this project. I can't wait to see your version. But if you enjoyed hanging out with me, please take a moment and visit our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. While you're there, hit that little bell so that you get notifications anytime we release something new or free. It's a lot easier for us to stay in touch with you if you subscribe. And we may not always see you on Facebook because they kind of make it hard to reach people. There's so many people fighting for your attention. So please subscribe. And if you make this or anything from this bundle, I would love to see it. And so would the rest of our community. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Group, or you can just type in this little URL that you see here at the bottom, and that'll take you there as well. So happy fall, y'all. And I can't wait to see what you do to your Thanksgiving table. I'm sure it's gonna look like mine this year, which is exciting. And as always, I look forward to crafting with you again.